Hello, I'm Charles Mendelson, and welcome to Living the Beautiful Life. Here at Seattle Holistic Beauty, our thesis is that our beauty reflects our health, and not just our physical health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, our psychological health, and our social health, just to name a few. In this series, I will interview other experts about how you can live a more beautiful life. I will let our first guest introduce herself.
I'm Lauren Williams. I am the owner and founder of Casual Uncluttering. I'm a certified professional organizer.
A lot of people might not know what you do, so could you tell us, what is a professional organizer?
I help people declutter, and then I help them develop storage systems for what they decide they're keeping after we declutter.
You mentioned that you are certified. What does that mean?
There are two very powerful professional societies for this kind of work: the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals and the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. You can be board certified through both of them through different pathways of study. CPO is through NAPO, and I'm also trying to get some of the certifications through the Institute.
How do you get certified?
For NAPO, it has to be 1,500 hours worth of auditable work with clients. You have to pass an exam. You have to maintain continuing education after you've passed that exam, which cycles out every 3 years. It's a very arduous process.
What subjects are covered in the certification process?
Everything from learning styles to learning about ADD in particular, to what, yes, might be the mental challenges faced by people with hoarding disorder, how to approach children, because their approaches and their needs can be very different from adults. It's a very broad range of study.
What type of clients do you work with?
I have about a quarter of my clients who are people with hoarding disorder. I've worked with children as young as 5 years old. I've worked with someone as old as 80. It can be anything from someone who has ADD and just needs some help starting themselves in the right path, to someone who's been sick, gotten really far behind on keeping themselves organized, needs another leg up. I'm a generalist.
You mentioned that a number of your clients have hoarding disorder. What are the challenges of working with that population?
Yes, people with hoarding disorder can be an extremely difficult population to work with because they have significant mental challenges sometimes in what's causing them to have this need. Their physical environments can be so dangerous to them that that's causing other illnesses. It's very rewarding work, but you need to be very careful when you approach the work.
How is the severity of hoarding disorder measured?
There is a scale of 1 to 5 that organizers use to assess the situation. That kind of situation would be a 4 or a 5 on the scale. I tend to work with 2s and 3s.
The scale you mentioned, can you describe in layman's terms, what's the difference between a 1, a 3, and a 5?
A 1 is someone who may just like to collect things. A 1 is someone who may, just in the normal course of their day, not always remember where they put the keys or have an understanding of what they're going to do with their paperwork. A 3 is a situation where they may not always be able to use all of their rooms at this point. They've gotten them that cluttered up. They may have such an excess of some kinds of items, they honestly don't have any understanding of how much they've got anymore. A 5, you will often have to come in with a hazmat suit. You will often have to declare the building uninhabitable and tear it down when you're done.
What was the most rewarding experience you've had working with a client?
One of my clients hadn't had people into her home to visit for years and years and years. She's now living with someone. When she had that aha moment of, wait, you mean I can do it the way I want to and not the way somebody else keeps telling me to do? That was one of the best things I've ever heard in my life.
That aha moment, what was that?
Well, for example, she actually came up with this by herself. She couldn't remember where she wanted her clothes to go in her own dresser. She swapped out the hardware to that dresser so that each drawer had its own very colorful set of hardware. And then she finally remembered by that code what went where.
If you could work with one organization, what would it be?
The Humane Society. I have tremendous respect for them, and I have something I call the Organizer on the Road show, which is a portable demonstration of organizing tips, and I like to give it as a gift to agencies' volunteers or as brown bag lunch staff talks. It's very, very much fun.
What in particular draws you to the Humane Society?
I'm an animal person. I've been an animal person since I was a little kid, and their reputation, their premier establishment in the field of animal rescue, they just deserve it.
If you could work with one celebrity, who would it be? Like, for example, would you organize Vin Diesel's weight room?
Melissa Etheridge. I doubt she needs it, but I would just have any excuse to meet her.
What do you think you could do for Melissa Etheridge?
Maybe she needs somebody helping her where her guitar picks go.
What are the biggest challenges you faced working with clients?
Sometimes you don't quite mesh your personalities. Sometimes you get a client that you really can't help. You just do not have the skills, you do not have the resources. It's always in our obligation as organizers to refer out to our colleagues amongst ourselves, but it's very dissatisfying to leave someone behind when you know they need the help.
You mentioned the responsibility to refer out if you can't help someone. What does that look like?
There was one instance where someone was working with me who was brain injured, and he needed much more intensive one-on-one care than I could give him. I had to refer him out to a colleague. There have been instances where someone just didn't like my approach, and we have a wide range of personalities, wide range of backgrounds informing this work, so I just wasn't a good fit. I was a little too blunt on occasion for that one client. It's hard to predict. You usually have to work with someone 2 or 3 or 4 times before you're sure that you'll be a good match or not.
Like most businesses, referrals are probably how you get most of your new clients. What are your best referral partners?
Anyone who goes into someone's home can be a great referral partner for me, but it's a very difficult conversation to have. You can't just walk into somebody's home and say, wow, this place is a mess. But plumbers, general contractors, electricians, they are going to walk into a home and they might notice a situation that they think is dangerous, or they might notice that, yes, there seem to be a lot of piles here. Do you feel frustrated by that? Accountants and bookkeepers can actually be terrific power partners for me because they have the clients who are coming in, I couldn't pay the bills, I can't find the paperwork, and that can be a tremendous clue that someone needs some help, because time management can be a part of what is someone's challenge in keeping themselves organized.
What is one piece of advice you can give someone so that they can live a more organized life?
I strongly advocate someone using a calendar. Whether it's paper or electronic is up to their preferences, but the more you use a calendar for appointments, for tasks, for your to-do list, honestly, always the more organized you'll be.
Lastly, if someone wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Go straight to my website, www.casualuncluttering.com.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you are a health, wellness, fashion, or beauty professional in the greater Seattle area and you would like to be on the show, please contact us at charles@seattleholisticbeauty.com. And if you want to see more interviews like this one, please hit the subscribe button.